to start with, your film, Christy and His Brother, which is, if I'm well informed, your first feature movie, is obviously deeply grounded in everyday life in a working class neighborhood in Cork. So where did the initial idea of this film come from?
About maybe 13 years ago, I went up to this area, Knocknaheeny, in the north side of Cork, to take photographs on bonfire night where the end of the film is set. Photographs, I ended up talking to some young guys some teenagers who were drinking around a bonfire. The sort of guys that you might looked a bit sketchy, you might avoid, but they were so nice. And one of them asked me what I did, and I said I was a filmmaker, and he said he'd love to do something like that. And I was very naive, and I was kind of like, why don't you just go to college? College is free in Ireland, whatever. And he just looked at me like I had two heads, like I hadn't a clue. And I was and then he thanked me for just talking to him. And I was just so struck by his lack of confidence and the lack of confidence among young people in this area because of just where they're from and just class. And then aside from that, I was noticing kids maybe from the area a few years younger, and they have so much confidence, and they're so funny and charming and cheeky and smart and industrious, and they were all like gathering stuff to build for this bonfire. And I kind of had this idea. I was like, at what point do these confident kids lose that confidence and feel like they're not capable or something? And then just the idea that like community can help to heal and you know, because there's a culture, I'm not sure it's the same in France, but there's a culture in Ireland and definitely in the UK as well, where like you kind of put down your friends for like if they're ever trying to do something different or something like that, you know. And it's like, I think it's kind of as a joke, but it comes out of insecurity, and it does keep people from ever wanting to step out of their comfort zone or whatever. And so those were the kind of themes and the ideas that we started from. And we made a short film first, and when we made that short film, we met some of the cast were from the care system and stuff like that, and that kind of inspired a bigger story. And Alan O'Gorman, the writer, his mum is a care worker, and so the story kind of came from lots of different places, and it was kind of grew organically from lots of different moments. So there's not one answer, yeah.
No, but it's incredible because it gives so much material to make your film,
yeah.
You know.
Yes.
And so at times the movie feels very close to a documentary. And was this approach intentional from the start, or is it what makes the film so authentic?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to make this film feel as authentic as possible, because it was important that people really believed these people and their struggles, and that came from like how we shot it, our handheld approach, but also we cast a lot of first-time actors, a lot of people from the area, but then also making sure that like the care system and every side of it was reflected authentically. So we did a lot of research and a lot of listening, and not just about the care system, about everything. Like everything, it was so important to us that like anyone who watched the film, either from Cork or who'd been in the care system, or just being a brother in a similar situation, believed every bit of it, you know. And like that was such a goal, and like giving it that observational documentary feel, I think, was very important in capturing that.
And who did you intend your film to interest, or to react, or who did you like? For example, well, your film is going to be here in Carcassonne. It is already. It is. I've seen it, of course. So, how do you think people from here, from the south of France, will react when watching this film? I've been to Ireland several times, many times, And here in Carcassonne, there's a big community of Irish people
Oh, great. Okay.
who are looking for the sun, which is today not a very good idea, but never mind.
Yes, not here anyway.
Well, you're used to it. We're not. But anyway, how do you think people from Carcassonne will react when watching your film?
I think it's quite a universal story, and I think that which seems to resonate with people from everywhere, really. I mean, I think different people from different places respond to it in different ways, but everyone for the most part, has responded to it in my experience of it traveling so far. But I think for anyone who hasn't been to Ireland, I think it will take them by surprise. It's not the Ireland that is ever sold to anybody. But I think I really like the idea of films that can take people to a place that they never knew existed, but then the people can find a bit of themselves in there or something like that. And I think one big reaction across the board is I think people go into this film expecting it to be more depressing or serious or to take dark turns. And I really enjoy how it surprises people without straying away from the dark side, So it's a film with hope and light and a positive message.
Yeah.
So I hope people will respond to it in that way, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure. But talking about influences and reactions, 2 years ago, Ken Loach was the guest of honor of the festival. Is he a person who influenced you when making your movie? Because obviously the way you film is close to the way he does.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Ken Loach, but I wouldn't say he directly inspired me. I actually probably have watched more Ken Loach films since making the film because he's converting me to him. But I would say indirectly, he probably inspired filmmakers that I'm inspired by. So I'd say yes, definitely. I mean, he's kind of one of the founders of social realism. But I think where his films maybe are more political, mine would be more, I would say, Christy is, for an example, isn't political, but it's authentic and it's realism, and it's and I like films with, I know some of his do as well, but more hopefulness, but also more tonally, a bit more playful or poetic or cinematic, or have a bit of license to be a bit more colorful or something like that, or more music or yeah.
Let's talk about the actors who are absolutely incredible. So of course the first, Dennis Powers, who delivers a performance which is stunning, knowing it's his first performance in a movie, so which makes it even more admirable. So how did you find him, choose him?
We first made a short film called Christy in 2019, and we cast him for that. And so Danny, like a lot of the other cast, are rappers, and they come from this one place called the Cabin Studios, which is a porta cabin in the area that's been transformed into a music studio, and they teach young people how to make hip-hop and encourage them to write their own songs. So Danny was one of the first people through that. That's how we found Danny and a bunch of these kids. So he auditioned and he was just incredible. Actually, he originally wasn't meant to be Christy, there was someone else, but that other person, it fell true, and Danny was always second choice. And when we gave Danny the role, it was almost like we gave him the confidence, or we empowered him. I don't think he'd ever been selected for something like that before, and it just unlocked him, and he was just he's just a bit of a freak talent. He just has it, there's no training. He just is a natural. And some first time actors are amazing at just playing a version of themselves. Danny is not that. He's got so much range and so much intelligence, and he's really just a one in a million sort of a person, actor.
Mm-hmm. Do you think you will go on making films?
I hope so. It's tough for him because he has a young boy and he has full custody of that boy, and he lives in Cork, and there's not so many opportunities for actors in Cork. That's why I need to keep making films in Cork.
Oh, really?
But I hope he does, and I hope people don't typecast him as like Danny can only play that role, which I feel like sometimes people might with the young people in our film, because they all actually have so much range beyond what they're playing. But I hope he will. He definitely will in some degree, but the degree that I think he deserves, I hope so. I hope so.
The supporting characters are brilliant, and honestly, I think they make the film full of joy, full of light. It's a side of the film which is so good, really.
Yeah.
What message did you intend to convey through this film?
I think with the community specifically,
Yes.
it was this theme of that community, be it your friends or family, has the power to heal. It's the power of like rallying around somebody to carry them through something, or to show them that they can, what they can achieve, or something. Like, it really is the power of community to heal.
Well, which is completely true in this case.
Yeah.
The movie never feels judgmental towards the character, and how important it was for you to maintain this empathy.
Oh, massively. It's a hugely empathetic film, and we, not just with Christy, but we really wanted to show, and at times actually when we were writing the script, during the edit, we needed to fight to have empathy for some of the other characters, because for a film that's about Christy and his brother, we wrote a lot of detail and backstories for every other character. So, and it's quite a big ensemble film that it actually made it tricky to fit everybody in and give them the part. But we thought it was important to show empathy for the cousins and stuff like that, and maybe we don't fully for the older cousin. Maybe we would have liked to, but we had to fight to show empathy for the younger cousin as well, because we thought there was a nice parallel between Shane, the brother especially, and him, and how he judged them, but they've been through hard stuff, and just to show that, like, you know, even the cousins are the way they are because of similar traumas and stuff like that. And the film, I think, taught me to be more empathetic even, and becoming a dad during the making of the film definitely taught, and Alan, the writer, became a dad as well, gave us even more empathy, I think. And so that was a big part of our filmmaking process, I think.
Our traditional question, we have this tradition here in the Festival de Carcassonne. To what extent do you think that a film can change the world?
I think films have a lot of power to impact people, because I think, especially at the moment when there's so much us versus them discourse, I think it's very hard for people to see the other side's opinion. And I think a film can, we talked about it earlier, you know, if you're sitting with someone for an hour and a half, it doesn't matter where someone's from or what their viewpoints are. I think it can unlock people to show empathy with characters in any situation. So, like, I think it has the power to maybe change people's perspectives on any topics, really, more so than debate or dialogue, which always feels so can feel so, I don't know, aggressive or triggering or something like that. You know, a film can quietly transform people, you know, I think.
Well, that's what we think here in this festival with films from all over the world. We hope that, yes, they can change something in people, that's for sure.
They can encourage conversations and discourse, and they really can.
Thank you so much for talking to us, taking the time.
Oh,
and
thank you so much for screening Christy at your festival.
Well, it's been a real shock, this film, you know. Wow, it was something really, you know, an experience, amazing experience. So I'm sure, you know, in January it will be a big hit. I'm quite positive.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Yes.
I really hope.
Thank you so much, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye.
I hope the sun comes out.
Bye.